Welcome back to Machines Inc. And today we're going to mix it up a little bit by bringing something different into the garage. So today we're going to be pulling a Toyota in the garage. So a lot of you guys probably don't know this because obviously this channel is really centered around my Jeep XJ or the van. But previously I've had a handful of 4Runners. I really like them. But honestly the Jeep is a little bit cheaper to build. And also if I like cave a door in, I can go to the junkyard and grab another door way cheaper than I can for like a nice 4Runner or Tacoma, something along those lines. But none of us can argue the reliability of a Toyota. They are super nice. So today we're gonna be pulling in my buddy Juan's 5th gen 4Runner, and we're gonna weld a Coastal Offroad bumper to the back of this 4Runner. Now, these bumpers are sold as a DIY kit. They're all laser cut pieces. So really all we should have to do is just tack this thing together, you know, make sure everything's aligned properly, and then finish weld it and be good to go. Coastal Offroad sells this bumper as being a really good DIY first welding project, and today that's what I want to cover. There is plenty of videos on these bumpers of how to weld them together and more instructional videos. I want to focus more on the basics of how long does this take, how easy is it to do, and is this really a good first welding project for someone? I also want to take a look at the bumper and kind of see how everything's prepped, whether there's still going to be a good bit of metal prep required on my end, or if it really is just ready to all go together. Anyways, let's dive into this thing, roll it in, and get to working. Should have had a half hour just for unboxing. All right, so we got all these parts out and labeled. First up, we're gonna kind of pull the main section up and go ahead and weld on the recovery points that also bolt to the frame. So kind of first inspection, as far as their packaging goes, not everything is in the boxes you would think it would be in. So like for instance, I opened one of the boxes and you're like, oh, this is all the components for the bumper. But then I was missing a few pieces, and then I noticed a few of the pieces were dropped in with like the jerry can bits. So you do have to open all the boxes, dump it all out to be able to find all the pieces, which is kind of annoying, but not a big deal. And then next thing that I kind of noticed, all the edges look cut super clean. Obviously they're all laser cut, but all of them do have like, you know, surface oil on them, which is totally fine. I mean, that's expected for shipping and for storage to make sure that this metal doesn't get any rust on it. So we just gotta be mindful of everything before we weld it. We need to wipe down that area with some acetone to prep the surface. Labeling all the parts of the bumper is pretty simple. There's about 13 main pieces of the bumper. And honestly, watching videos of this going together, it looks like a lot, but now that I'm seeing it on the floor, it looks pretty simple. So we're gonna go ahead and get this main section welded up, and then we'll bring the car in and start assembling the rest on there. Alright, so far the fit up is okay on this thing. I'm not super stoked. The bottom of the 4Runner frame rails are not flush, and the bottom of this bumper is just a flat piece of 3/16. So it kind of has to, like, as you tighten it, kind of bend to fit some of those profiles. But overall, I mean, it's decently easy to tack together. It would definitely be a lot easier with two hands. Getting into these corner pieces, they really want you to line up with the body line. So we're trying to make it parallel with where that quarter ends and the plastic begins. And to do that, I am having to start to modify some of these panels. So right now I'm kind of grinding off the edge of one to get it to fit up in there nicely, because we already have the top panel completely parallel with the body line, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. So this piece right here, we have a consistent 5-inch gap all the way across. If I were to have welded these plates up to where they fit perfectly, it actually would have been slightly canted upward. So now it shrunk this gap down below, and therefore we're having to modify that plate a little bit for it to fit in. But once we're done, it should match that body line perfect. So I got bad news and I got good news. Bad news is this thing's kicking my ass. The good news is we got it all tacked together and ready to weld, so I'm pretty stoked on that. As far as the fitment on this thing, it's pretty good. It's not bad. The passenger side needed a good bit of modification, and you know, since we're building this panel by panel, obviously if you adjust one panel, every panel you add after that needs adjustment. So the passenger side was definitely annoying, but now we got it, you know, mounted up. It's all straight, which I'm super happy about. The driver's side magically all lined up, so that was nice to do that one last, just because it, you know, all slapped together. So overall, time-wise, we're roughly at the 4-hour mark, and I'll attribute like a good hour to adjusting all the pieces on the other side. So maybe 3 hours for fit up. I will say also, this would be tremendously easier if you did have a friend to help you hold some panels in place. Obviously, you can use welding magnets, things along that nature, but would be nice to have a second person. Alright, so last night I ended up getting about 80% of this thing welded up, and then I ran out of gas. So I went to go see my gas guy. I got a new bottle on here. Where is it at? Yeah, right there. So yeah, went to go see my gas guy, got a new bottle. So now we're ready to rock and roll again. There is a lot of welding on this thing, and not only is there just a lot of inches to weld, but you have to do them in sections as to not get it too hot and warp it. And that's another reason why I welded the majority of it on the actual 4Runner. Just that way it's bolted down. When it heats and cools off, it should maintain its shape. So now that it's off, I'm going to finish weld the outside. I'm going to go through and put some supporting welds on the inside. Then I'm going to go ahead and grind off the portions where this dual swing out is going to mount, and we'll be good to go. But a time calculator, we'll throw it in. So yeah, I think we were at 4 hours for mock-up, and then last night I got 3 hours of welding in before I ran out of gas. So we'll start the welding timer again now and dive into this. But yeah, definitely taking way longer than expected, and this is definitely not a, you know, I assumed it was going to be a one-day crank-out job, but got a little extra work cut out for us. So let's get back to welding on this thing and see what we can knock out. Alright, so many hours later, we have the base bumper all set up. So, time-wise here, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I think we were at 4 hours in mock-up, then we were at 5 hours of welding. This thing has a tremendous amount of weld on it, and especially going through and doing some, welding on the inside of the bumper as well. It adds a lot of time. Lastly, it took about 4.5 hours of grinding to get all these edges smoothed out. The only welds that I didn't grind down, obviously all the interior welds, no need to, and then the welds that are surrounding the clevis mounts. Since those are really structural and are going to be seeing a lot of abuse, we do not want to weld those down. And then there's a couple more like inside corner welds that there's just not a great way to get in there to grind those down, and they're nice looking welds, so I'm not worried about it. So next up is getting this whole swing out assembled. I'm hoping, since I took my time and got the bumper really straight, the swing out should go together relatively quickly. So fingers crossed all the parts fit up and don't need a lot of additional work. Alright, so we got these swing outs all mocked up, and they definitely went together a lot easier than the main bumper did. It took me roughly about 4 hours to get these all kind of like tacked together, mocked up, and tested. And then it's a little bit more intricate time for setting up the latches and like the safety pin that goes in the bumper, just to make sure that all lines up and everything operates clean. So definitely happy with how these all went. I'm really honestly done with all the mock-up that I need to do on the actual 4Runner. So now it's time to pull this stuff off. There's definitely a little bit of finish welding to do. We'll paint, and then finally done with this bumper. So me and Kaylee are debating on how much this bumper weighs. I think it's like 135 pounds. Kaylee says it's way less, so she's gonna lift, get her guesstimate, and then we're gonna measure. Drop in the comments what you think it weighs.
Wait, I can get it.
Yeah, you got it.
I want to scratch it. Okay, it's probably like over 100.
So what's the final guess, over under? This is for who pays for drinks later.
I'm gonna say it's like 110, because I don't think I can lift 130.
Are we going Price is Right rules?
What's that mean?
You get as close as you can to the dollar amount without going over.
Let's just do whoever's closest.
All right. Drinks tonight?
Yeah.
Deal.
What does it say?
330.
330. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. So 195 minus 330. Oh, 135 pounds. Let's go. Oh yeah. All right. So guess who's buying drinks? All right, we are back in the garage. It's a new day and hopefully the final day. So as you guys saw, pulled this thing off last night. Now it is time to just do a couple small finish welds on the actual bumper. I do need to weld 80% of both of those swing outs. And then it's gonna be time to disassemble and finally paint those, which I'll do in a couple days here. But I do wanna go ahead and get these all welded up and get them prepped, because when I do the paint, it takes a while to dry, and I'm trying to get this 4Runner back to my buddy before too late. So let's go ahead and start burning this stuff all in, which is nice because it's all prepped, so it's just welding, which I enjoy. So let's fire up the welder and start melting some metal. finally got this bumper all together, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. It does look great on the 4Runner. So let's talk about the main topic of this video, which is how easy is it to assemble one of these. First off, I kind of messed up and I never really looked at these too hard. I was like, oh, it's a DIY bumper. I'll slap this thing together pretty quick. Definitely a lot more welding and a lot more intricate, you know, piecing everything together than I thought it was gonna be. So, you know, I quoted like 7 hours to be able just to tack this thing up and weld it. You know, I said it earlier in the video, I'll drop it below, but I think I was at like 12 hours for that. All in all, you know, including like paint, grinding, all that kind of stuff, I did lose track a little bit, but we're somewhere in like 25 to 30 hours of just straight labor. So anyone who thinks that they're gonna grab this and they're just gonna knock it out in a weekend, it's not gonna happen. This is definitely a lengthy process to be able to get these knocked out. Now, that being said, could I do it a little bit faster now that I've done one? Absolutely. But I think I'd be able to knock off max an hour. So not too much time. It's really just in fit up. I wouldn't have to glance at pictures as much to kind of know the basic fit up of it. But yeah, past that, I mean, as far as welding, can't really do that any faster. And then just in general, just, you know, unboxing everything was close to an hour. And, you know, Coastal Offroad, you know, as far as like all the parts and pieces, you know, fit up was good. I did like one of the boxes. I think they ran out of packing material, so they just started shoving trash in there. It was like old tape rolls and some like old newspaper stuff. And honestly, reduce, reuse, recycle. So I thought it was funny. It absolutely works as packaging. It was just funny opening that and wondering what all the trash in there was. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this a beginner project? So I didn't use any tools that were specialty. I mean, I used my welder, I used the angle grinder with, you know, flap discs and cutoff wheels. And other than that, I mean, I did use my plasma cutter, but that doesn't count. I mean, honestly, you can use just the, you know, angle grinder with a cutoff disc. And then, you know, magnets to be able to kind of hold some things together in place while you tack them up. So I think this could be a first welding project for someone. The only thing is that there's so many hours of welding. Again, I forgot what I said earlier, but I think it was around 5 hours of welding. So either A, yeah, it's a great first project because by the end of it, you're gonna know how to weld. Or B, it is a terrible first project because halfway through you're like, welding sucks, I don't wanna do this anymore, and you have a shit ton to go. So, you know, my advice to someone would be, you know, make something small first. Make yourself a couple little brackets or play in the garage with welding before you dive all the way into this. But yeah, I mean, as far as the type of welding, even Coastal Offroad mentions this, it's a lot of right angles where the two pieces are joining together. And it's a lot of like thick material. This whole bumper is 3/16. So as far as like the type of welding, this really is like the easiest welding you can do. It's pretty hard to mess it up as long as you just have your heat right and you're penetrating that steel properly. There's also so much weld on this thing. If half of your welds absolutely suck, the other half will hold it together. So yeah, I think it definitely could be a beginner's project, but just be prepared. There's gonna be a lot of hours going into this thing to put it all together. So all in all, really happy to have this thing done. If there's anything that I have to hate on it is I'm not a huge fan of like the dual Heim swing out. It's a cool idea. I could see myself using that idea in the future. The brackets of the swing outs go on, those big ears where the Heims go inside of, those ears are like 1/2 inch steel. And, you know, they're bent to be able, you know, those Heims should slide right in, but they're slightly wider, which is good, makes assembly easier, and as you tighten it, they're just gonna clamp down. But they don't clamp down consistently. So for the novice, plan a couple weeks to do this. It's not gonna be a weekend job. Like I said, even for myself, I'm not calling myself a master fabricator, but I think I have some experience with it. And, you know, it's still, like I said, 25, 30 something hours of just labor on this thing. Now that this is done, we got a couple more bumpers coming up. I'm gonna do one for my buddy Alex, Little Truck Big World. We've already started on it and we got a little bit of finishing up to do, but that video is gonna be over on his Instagram, so I'll drop a link to that down below. And then finally, I'm gonna get back on the tube bumper for my XJ. Super excited on that because now the XJ is gonna be just all tube. I think it'll look a lot better and more consistent. Yeah, last note thrown in, building tube bumpers is way more fun than plate bumpers. A, they are way lighter weight. They're super sturdy, there is way less welding. I understand the style of tube bumpers isn't for everyone, but personally, now that I'm used to them, I really like the way they look, and I'm really a big fan of how lightweight and sturdy they are. So I think in the future, I'm just gonna go all in on tube stuff and just build tube bumpers for everything. So I'm gonna call it there for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you guys did enjoy this one, make sure to like, subscribe, share, all those good things. If you guys wanna follow me on Instagram, I am @MachinesIncJake. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.